Hi, welcome to the Inner Monologue. So, this is the first episode of my podcast, and I've decided to name this episode as a letter to whoever found this. And that's because I don't know who you are. Maybe I don't even know where you're listening from, what time it is for you, or what kind of day you had. Maybe you're walking home, maybe you're lying in your bed unable to sleep, maybe you're studying, maybe you're just sitting like me in a balcony, maybe you're just looking for something that makes you feel a little less lonely today. Wherever you are, I'm really happy that you're here. Actually, very glad that you're here. Because this is the first page of something I've always wanted to create for a long time, like kind of dream. And it's not because I've had my life figured out at a certain age, or not because I'm here to tell you how to live. Actually, it's the opposite. I have more questions than answers, and maybe that's okay because this isn't a motivational podcast, and I'm not going to promise that your life will change in the next 40 minutes or 50 minutes or even 5 minutes, whatever the time I'm gonna speak. I'm not gonna pretend that I've discovered the secret to happiness because I don't even know what's happiness to my own self. I just wanted to make a conversation. Maybe this can just be a place where we can think out loud. There are because there are so many thoughts we carry every day that never leave our minds. Questions we don't ask, fears we don't admit, dreams we don't talk about because they sound so impossible. And somewhere along the way, I realized I couldn't keep it all in, like all those thoughts inside anymore. So I started this, kinda I made this. And it's not to teach or preach to anyone. Obviously, I'm not such a great person. But this is just to wonder. Maybe every week we'll talk about ambition, maybe we'll talk about loneliness, about love, about growing up, about the strange feeling of becoming someone new while still missing the person we used to be. Maybe some weeks I'll be completely wrong. Maybe some weeks you'll completely disagree with me. And honestly, I hope that happens. Because this isn't about finding the perfect answer, it's about asking better questions. Because if this podcast ever becomes something bigger, I hope this feeling never changes. I hope it always feels like two people talking honestly. So, welcome to the first day or my first episode of the Inner Monologue. Well, I don't really know where to begin, but maybe that's fitting because isn't that how most of the first days feel? Because no one really tells you how to start something that matters to you. Whether it's your first day of at your new school, your first job, maybe it's your first time abroad, first step towards a dream you've been carrying it for years. How much of a small or big that might be. The beginning is always awkward. It's quiet, it's uncertain. And if I be honest, I almost didn't record this. Not because I don't want to, but because I kept thinking, what if no one listens? What if I sound boring? What if people will judge me? What if I run out of things to say? Then another thought crossed my mind. What if someone out there is waiting to hear exactly what I'm too afraid to say? Maybe that's enough a reason to press record. I think we spend so much of our lives waiting for certainty. We wait until we're confident, until we're successful, until we're ready. But I've started wondering, what if ready is just something we invent to delay the things that scare us? Think about it. How many dreams are sitting in your note apps? Because surely mine did before I recorded this, and still a bunch of them are, and maybe in future I work on them too. But think how many versions of ourselves never get a chance to exist because we convince ourselves that someday is better time than today. I sometimes just think maybe the hardest part isn't chasing a dream, but maybe it's allowing yourself to begin. This podcast isn't perfect. Obviously, I agree. I'm probably going to make some mistakes, and some episodes will be better than others. I'll probably listen back to this 1 year from now and cringe, but maybe I think it's a good thing because if I cringe, it means I grew. And I think that's what this podcast is really about. Not pretending I've had my I figured my life out, but just keeping record of the person I'm becoming. So if you're listening, maybe this can be your first day too. Maybe there's something you've been putting off, not because you can't do it, but because you're waiting for permission. Consider this your reminder that none of us really know what we are doing. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is just to begin, anyways, whatever happens. So maybe you guys can take this as a sign and begin it. It might be small or big or anything. I know this episode is really small, but it's okay because it's my first day too. So I just had to begin, but not to be perfect. Well, I just want to see you guys maybe again next week, and I'm really grateful that you guys are here listening to my words, and I'm really happy that I've started this.